KQ on the Avenue is made possible in part with funds from Genesee Valley Council of the Arts Aid to Localities program. Enjoy the show.
We'd like to welcome you to KQ on the Avenue. We'd like to welcome you to KQ on the Avenue. We'd like to welcome you to KQ on the Avenue. We'd like to welcome you to KQ on the Avenue.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the inaugural episode of KQ on the Avenue. I'm your host, Wayne Benson Jr.
I'm Monique Franz, co-host.
And I'm co-host Yolanda Simpson. Let's get it. Let's get into it.
And thank y'all for tuning in. This podcast exists to uplift underrepresented voices in the arts. And today we are going to be talking about advocacy in art with a focus on the Kendrick Lamar halftime show.
Oh man, that was fire. That was fire right there.
It was good.
That whole thing.
Yeah.
We might be a little late to the party.
Yeah,
You cannot talk about it. You cannot talk about it.
There you go. We cannot not talk about it. That's right.
Yeah. So what are y'all, and we can go around just like each person. What is your kind of your overview and your personal take from the halftime show?
It was straight up fire. And I think that, like a lot of the first responses that we were hearing, some of those clueless people were talking about worst show. You didn't even know.
Mhm.
But I think that anybody, even if hip hop was not your cup of tea, you understood that you was watching something significant. You knew he was saying something, you know what I mean? And, for a hip hop girl like me, and I seriously, I'm an OG hip hop person. I mean, when I say OG, I don't want to age myself, but I'm talking about a hip hop. That's the kind of
That was the late 1970s.
there you go. That's kind of OG hip hop I'm talking about. But just as a hip hop girl, I knew that Kendrick Lamar was going to throw it down. I knew he was going to do it. And I knew he was going to drop knowledge and do what he do, dropping knowledge in Comptonese, and he brought it, it was fire.
I think, people who said it was the worst and they didn't understand, but they didn't have to understand. See, that was the point. He took the opportunity to say what he felt like he needed to say. He spoke to everyone, but he was talking to a particular people. He was talking to us. He was talking to us, and if anybody wanted to join in on the conversation, he let them do that. But I think that it was great that he took that opportunity to actually say something, and it was bold because that day the president was there. That's football, that's America's pastime. So you could take that opportunity to play it safe, be the kind of hip hop artist that they expect to see, the drinking, the money, he took that opportunity to make a lot of statements that needed to be said. And even if they say that it wasn't the best entertaining Super Bowl, which I thought was Prince. Just gonna throw that out there for good measure.
Okay.
You know that you had an opportunity to see. It was an experience. It was an experience. And he took that opportunity to actually make a point instead of just entertain, even though it was entertaining. He took that opportunity to make a point, not just to play his music, but to say something. And I appreciate that. So
I appreciate that too. And for those, especially those from the white community who are like, I don't get it, it's not my cup of tea, and he didn't play to all the audience that was here. Wait a minute. If you look at all of those athletes on that field, they are from places where Kendrick is from. They were raised like Kendrick was raised. So you have no problem with watching this American game off the backs of Black athletes, but don't say nothing. Don't have nothing to say. No.
Or as long as you performing like we want you to perform. See, we want you to, we want it to look like we want it to look. We don't want you, y'all play football, but don't have your own mind. Don't have your own point of view, and definitely don't express it here because we don't want to hear it, So
Yeah, speaking of what you were just saying, Yolanda, that brings up Samuel L. Jackson for me was probably my favorite part.
Yeah.
That, you know what I mean? Basically what you just said was his whole position of being there. Like, we want you to sound how we want you to sound. We want you to play. We want you to play. all that stuff, and to have him being there as the person to narrate that, I thought that was just so tactful.
I think it was, I'm sorry, I think it was bold of him because he could have did what they wanted and opened up his calendar, baby. Like now, they about to invite me everywhere. If I tap dance the right way, I'm gonna get an invite everywhere.
And he made that statement. He made that statement when he constructed the field to look like a game controller. Hey, y'all want me to play the game, but I'm about to play this game. Like I'm about
the way I want to play the game.
I'm gonna play this game the way I want to play this game. I'm not gonna play to your game. We've been playing to your game. And one of the I love the imagery of him creating the American flag. And I might be getting a little ahead, so maybe I should.
No, you good. You good.
Talk about that.
Talk about it.
But honestly, I love how he created that imagery of creating the American flag from Black lives. Because
that's good.
There isn't that the symbolism. Honestly, if you look at American culture, you look at its music, you look at its food, you look at the way it talk, you look at its movies. Dude, we Blacks, we are so much, even the economy itself.
We built the culture that
we built the culture. We built the nation, not being paid for it, not being paid. So I loved how he constructed the flag out of Black lives. People were like, oh, well, there wasn't any white person on the stage. You know what? Sometimes it's not about you. Sometimes it's not about you. We got to live in a society and systems that ain't about us. You know what? You'll be all right. You'll be all right. You okay with watching the game and Black athletes? You'll be okay with him expressing the culture of the Black athletes. You don't have a problem.
Yeah, I don't remember the Rolling Stones, but I don't remember a whole bunch of Black folks on stage when they was playing Maroon 5 and then, so let's calm down. This is his opportunity. You gave it to him. And another thing.
Wait a minute. Let's go back to that, Londa. How dare you? If it was the Rolling Stones, you wouldn't
have said, where's the Black people?
A Black person on stage.
There were no Black people on stage. It wouldn't even been a thought, because why would we include you here? So, and it's crazy because they talking about DEI. Why would we just drop a white person in the middle of that? Y'all don't want to do that no more. Think about it. And like if it were a Rolling Stones or somebody like that, they would never have said, well, where's the, what?
Exactly.
Just stop with that, because we can't do nothing. If they have not signed the permission slip on what we can do, they're going to have something to say about it. It's just that simple. If you got your own point of view, if they didn't co-sign on your point of view, they're going to have something to say about it. If they weren't centered in what you're trying to do, they're going to have something to say about it. So that's why I respect the performance, because he could have considered that and really took the opportunity to give them what they think rappers do. Because, all the booty shaking and all the, drug talking, he could have did all of that. And see, that's what we want. We want to see y'all do that. We don't want you to actually care about your people. We don't want you to say something that would uplift your people. We don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear that we owe y'all 48 million. Now you thought we forgot. He let you know we didn't forget.
Here's the thing, girl. Here's the thing. If he would have talked about gin and juice, if he would have just sang gin and juice, that would have been fine. Don't you talk about the oppression of Black people. Don't you talk about a system that needs to change. I'd rather you hear talk about gin and juice and we'd be fine. Nah. It's time that we do. As Black artists or artists of color, that we understand that our platform is meant for advocacy. Go ahead, Wayne.
Yeah. And that's a great segue into what it even looks like to advocate for something in our artwork. How do you guys think that we as artists, obviously we have a great example with Kendrick Lamar, but even in our own personal artwork, what are some ways that like we can even start to think about how to promote advocacy and how to do that? Also, what are your personal, art forms that you guys, ascribe to?
Yeah, well, I make music. Producer, recording artist. I'll rap a little something for you, you know.
Go ahead, spit some.
No, but no, I ain't here for the freestyle. There are people who
You ain't following Kendrick. You ain't following Kendrick those bars.
No, I ain't from. I don't come straight from. Hey, I got a little age on me. I got to write it down, practice it before I'm ready. I'm gonna forget. You know, I ain't quick like that. But God bless the ones who are. But
as a rapper, do you take inspiration from someone like Kendrick? Like, how would you maybe do something like what he did in your own music?
Well, I do. I have a song called "The Plan." I got a song called "We Gonna Rise." These songs are very Afrocentric. The Plan talks about how the system is set up to kill, and they target Black men to either get them in jail, get them high, or to, you know, just kind of steal their souls, if you will. And so I think it's important, if you're going to call, especially in this day and time, if you're going to call yourself an artist, that you should be advocating for something that's close to your heart. That's how we know what you're about. That's how we used to know what they were about. So I'm a little bit older. And so people who inspired me was like Chuck D and X-Clan and Lauryn Hill, where when they had the platform, they took that opportunity to say something that was going to uplift somebody, that was going to uplift our culture. And we're in a climate right now where the silence, okay, later for the booty shaking and the sex music, we're in a climate where they are literally systematically taking away rights that we have had for generations. There was a time as an artist that you couldn't even sleep in the hotel that you was performing in. So I think this is a prime opportunity for artists to stand up and say, hey, we're not going back there. But if you look at, I was inspired by James Brown. Like, he, in a time where he could have got shot for saying that, I'm Black and I'm proud. Like he said, I'm Black and I'm proud. I got soul and I'm super bad. They wasn't saying that back in the day. I'm super bad. You know what I mean? And so that kind of advocacy, Marvin Gaye, yeah, he was a crooner. He gonna sing you a love song or something. But when things started going awry, he had something to say. What's going on? What's going on? You know, and
I would have to say, and I would have to say, look, I think artists need to understand the modern day artists, they are the prophets of this age. Yeah. They are the seers of this age. And if they are mistaken to think that their gift is only to entertain, they will never leave the type of legacy that Marvin Gaye left, or that Kendrick is establishing right now. I mean, if you look at Ray Charles, who stood up against Georgia, you look at Nina Simone, who stood against Mississippi and got stuff done. And let me tell you, musicians was able to do what they were able to do to stop segregation. The Constitution couldn't do. The Constitution itself couldn't do. But you had musicians who were the seers of that time, the prophets of that time, saying things got to change. That's the power in art. That's why we got to have advocacy in art, because the power is in art.
Kendrick said it, my favorite mouth. Out of everything he did a whole bunch of good stuff. My favorite thing he said was, you can't fake influence. That was that. He could have dropped the mic and went home right after he said that. Like, you can't fake influence, because I can go out here in front of, but once I got your mind, once I got your heart, once I got you inspired with the words I'm saying on my beat with my whatever, I got you. And now I can change how you think about a thing. So my question is, what are you going to change this generation's mind about? Like, how are you going to change something? Take that opportunity to actually use that influence, because you really can't fake it. You can have, Martin Luther King was not as rich as the people that were against him, nor was he as powerful as the people that were against him. But his influence changed the world. And if God gave you a gift that people will stop and say, what? How you rapping? Wait, hold up. Girl can sing. Dude can make a beat. Did you see his art piece? Did you see what he painted? Did you see what they wrote? Did you hear that? When you can stop people in your tracks because of your talent, you have influence. And so take that influence and change someone's thought process, change the system, do something with it. Because like Monique was saying, it's not just to entertain and not just to enrich yourself. There was a time that as a culture, we did things to enrich each other. So I'm saying you really can't fake influence. And that's more powerful to me than the money.
I think that's why Drake lost this battle. It wasn't that Drake can spit. Drake can spit. But you lost the battle because we sensed what you was about. You were happy to just entertain or keep the party lit, so he says. But we understand. And that, honestly, I hate to say, I ain't got nothing against Drake. I ain't got nothing against Drake. But I think that Kendrick hit the nail on the head when he said you're a colonizer, because you're taken from the community. You're not adding, you're not dropping no wisdom. You're not dropping anything edifying. And we pick up on that. So it didn't matter how well he could spit bars. We understood that he was not contributing to the art. We understood that he was not contributing to the community. We understood that he wasn't advocating for anything but himself.
And another thing that, what's obvious about Kendrick Lamar is that he has his ear to the street. I don't know. I saw it this way. I can't add no other subliminals that, maybe no one else saw. But everybody saw red, white, and blue. I'm from LA. Like, we were raised in LA.
Yeah.
I also saw peace. It spoke peace to the streets of LA. So you a Crip, you wearing blue. You a Blood, you wearing red. They were together on that stage. He had blue and red together, and then your neutrals. That's literally how it worked. There were people who wasn't banging. There was the Crips on one side. There was the Bloods on the other side. And I saw another undertone there that kind of brought the community together. Like, we all Black. We all in the United States. But at the same time, the undertone, I don't know if nobody else saw it. Maybe I'm just deeper than I need to be. But I saw Crips and Bloods together. I got a little undertone of that. Like, okay, you got people in the blue, you got people in the red. He from Compton, like that's South Central. And they were together. They were all Black, but they were together in the court. And so I saw that. That's how I saw it.
We talk over each other. We got to learn how to leave space for one another too. But and leave space for Wayne too. Leave space.
And Wayne, jump in, because you got two Black women over here. You gonna have to decide.
You know what's crazy is that like y'all basically was reading my mind the whole time, because I was gonna say my favorite line in the whole thing was the "you can't fake influence." Now I'm coming from the perspective that, like I grew up listening to Kendrick. So like he was my formative years of rap, you know what I'm saying? That's when I love rap. I'm thinking Kendrick. But Kendrick and Drake are coming around at the same time. So this was like a crazy kind of victory lap for Kendrick, for me as a fan of rap, you know what I'm saying? But I just love how he turned something that's just like a diss, you know what I mean? Something that is a beef within hip hop into a cultural statement. Yeah. And when I think of that line, like, you can't fake influence, it just reminds me, like, when we're talking about advocacy in art, like, how do we stay the course and be true to who we are? You know what I mean? Be true to the places where we grew up and not be, I'm not trying to diss Drake, right? But I'm saying, like, as y'all see, he is somebody who adopted a culture that he wasn't a part of, right?
It looks like that. Yeah, it does.
That it looks like that, right? And you can tell that it was kind of something that he was like a facade he was putting on, right? And so you have somebody who has real influence versus somebody who doesn't have influence but is being promoted as if they do have influence.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, even like when I'm creating art, I do have this tension where, like, okay, I'm trying to be as authentic as possible while also, adding advocacy to my work. Like, what am I advocating for, right? And I think about those things a lot, especially when it comes to art, because I think, advocacy could end up becoming the entire identity of our work, right?
And it doesn't need to be.
It doesn't need to be, but it's obviously important. And so, yeah, I just think, like, how do we stay the course with things like that?
Yeah, I like what you're saying. I think that Kendrick did a great job of showing I'm advocating for myself in this beef, but it also applies to a bigger beef. You know what I mean? And I don't even if we are writing a story that's, maybe inspired by your story, a story, whatever, how does it fit into the universal thing that's happening? And I think with our art, we can recognize that your art is for you, but it's also for the larger world. And don't lose sight of yourself, Mississippi, goddamn. But also, I'm hurting. And this is what's powerful about Kendrick. Now, I'm old school, straight up old school, so Kendrick is my children. My children listen to Kendrick. I've been hip hopping to him all week and whatnot. But one thing I do love about his music is the vulnerability in his music. It's not only about it. He's also speaking to his own challenges, his own hiccups, his own struggles, at the same time, the larger struggle. And when you can do that, that's an artist right there. That's an artist.
And the artistry, and it doesn't always have to be fight to power, right? Part of artistry is being authentic and being able to communicate what you're going through so that people that look like you or in the same environments as you can feel what you're feeling, and it will empower them to say really what's on their mind. Like an artist, if I don't know who you are after your 10th song, and I just know that you like to party and you like to, you got dope beats, you're not an artist to me. I mean, you talented.
Yes.
You're talented, but you're not an artist, because I should be able to feel your heart. I want the artist to introduce themselves to me through their music. That's something that Kendrick does very well. Like, even if he's not, I love, oh gosh, I wish I remembered the name of the song. He said, "You hate me, don't you?" The one, the blacker the berry, the sweeter juice.
Yeah,
that one, that's my cut. But
what is that, Wayne? You of that generation. Do you remember?
I think the song is literally called Is it called Black of the Berry?
Yeah, dude, I got to find out. That's my cut. But he's really just he's advocating, but he's also at the same time telling you what's going on within him. Like, you think I'm black, you think I'm ugly, you hate me, don't. And so it brings this sense of pride, because you get an insight on how he's thinking about his blackness. So even for the Drakes of the world, like, Drake has influence. And I would love to see the Drakes of the world take that influence. No, you ain't from Compton, but you from somewhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You care about something. And here's an opportune time to let us know what you care about. Who are you besides richer than us? Who are you besides in VIP and popping bottles? You are a person. What's good about you? What inside of you will speak to somebody? So you was born in the suburb. There's another young man in the suburbs who's maybe feeling funny about himself or his growth and how he grew up or whatever, feeling ostracized. Tell us who you are. That advocate, because advocacy isn't just social. We have a lot of mental health challenges, and you can advocate for someone just by saying, I feel this way. And it's okay to feel this way. And it's okay to be this way.
Let me get in there real quick. You were talking about advocacy. I want to talk about what Kendrick did. Not only did he advocate for race relations, he advocated for minors who are being exploited and used. To me, that's when you are an artist, when you are able to show your concern over anything happening in the community. I don't care if it's about the earth, you know what I mean? Ecology.
And I was thinking too, it's funny. So, I mean, we might not even know that Drake dropped an album on Valentine's Day because of everything that's going on. Yeah, he did. And it was funny because I still, I'm not saying that I'll never listen to Drake again, but I listened to the album just because I was like, I wonder what he's talking about after all this stuff. And it finally made me realize the difference between an artist like Kendrick and someone like Drake is because I've been listening to Drake since I was probably 16, 17, and he's still making the same exact content he was making then. Pop bottles, this, I tried to get with this girl and it didn't work out, very surface level stuff. And I was like, oh, you haven't changed at all.
Right.
If you listen to Kendrick's first mixtape and listen to his music now, you can hear almost his entire story
Right.
And
You can hear the evolution
The
of.
evolution of him as an artist, you know what I mean? And I have so many Kendrick tracks too that, you know, have just touched me as just like a black male, you know what I'm saying? He has this one track where he talks about just like his father, how, like him growing up with his father and how he had to be tough and all this stuff like that. I relate to that so much. It's not that he was saying fight the power.
Right.
He was like, yeah, I had to, if I scraped my knee, I couldn't cry about it and all this other kind of stuff. And then when I got older, like I respected him and all this other kind of stuff like that. And I'm like, I feel that like that.
And believe it or not, that's advocacy.
it
Mm,
is.
Advocating for young boys who don't feel comfortable in feeling anything.
mm,
You're literally advocating for young men. It's okay to feel. It's okay to cry. It's okay. And people don't see that as, but they don't see that as advocacy because you were told you cannot cry. Be tough. Suck it up, boy. You a man. And so when some artist says, I wanted to cry, I couldn't. I was told to suck in all of my feelings and not be human about it. I can't be disappointed. I got to stand up straight. That is advocacy. That's advocating for the little boy who wants to say, ouch, but
Yeah.
can't say ouch. That's why I just would like to, I would like to tell artists, there's so much more to you.
Yeah.
Share that. Share that because somebody's going to be
Be vulnerable.
changed
Yeah.
by your authenticity. So you don't have to grow up in the hood to have a real human experience. You know what I mean? He talking about his father. A lot of people in the hood didn't have no daddy to look up to. You know what I'm saying? So he's just telling about his experience. And sometimes in telling about your heart and wanting to be honest, you are advocating for, if you were molested, you bring that up, right? You're advocating for the child who was molested but could not say anything or was feeling that way. There needs to be some kind of substance. And then we go into the more social. This is what it's like to be Black in this country, or this is like what it's like to be a woman. These things advocate for the human experience, and it could be found in your art if you were, I would say nowadays, if you're bold enough to share those portions of you, what you believe and how you really feel.
And I think you need to have a balance. And I want to to use this opportunity. Wayne, I remember Wayne is a poet, and he hasn't
And
brought
you
that.
know it.
There you go. And I remember
I
one
was
of
talking about
your more impacting lines to me was you talked about you might know it, you might be able to quote it. I can't,
yeah,
about the tree.
yeah.
About, yes. And
I can quote it for you if you want.
share that.
Yeah, so I wrote this poem about a tree in my yard, and the poem is actually titled "I'm a Black Poet," and it goes, "I cannot write about the tree in my yard unless something is hanging from it," and that's kind of how it starts. You know what I mean? But the whole poem is about the fact that I'm not as a Black person, not that I'm not allowed to, but I felt that I wasn't allowed to just write about nature or write about love or write about any of those things because I knew that there was this greater, you know, thing that was going on where it's like I have the world is expecting me to write about my struggle and about my Blackness
Right.
all the time. And I had this, and I was working through like, okay, how do I even write about this? Because I just want to write a love poem to the person that I want to date. Like, you know what I mean? And I was
Right.
just like, man,
Right.
I can't write that poem because no one's going to want to listen to that. And I struggled with that for a while.
And we need that balance because like the cut that I have been vibing to all since the Super Bowl is that Luther, I'm
Oh,
like,
I love that song.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And honestly, fight the power and bring the love and bring the vulnerability and bring your
Right.
because that's what we need to see.
If you look at artists like Marvin Gaye, like he gonna hey, when I get that feeling, I want sexual healing. Okay. When I get that feeling, I need sexual healing. But then he would go on and write a song that still says it gives you the completeness of the artist. Where I do care about social things. It make you want to holler, throw up both your hands. That's me socially being stuck in a system that is stacked against me. But girl, I'm hot just like an oven. I need some loving and baby, I got sick this morning. That's still a part of your human part of your human expression. You know what I mean? Like, let's get it on. That's still, same man. Same man. Didn't have to limit. Artists don't have to limit themselves to one way or another. Just make sure that you're saying something that the human heart can connect with, especially in these days and times. Just make sure you're saying something that the humans. Stevie Wonder's the same way, living just enough for the city, but isn't she lovely? Isn't she wonderful? Talk about, because artists are whole people. We care about what's going on in society, but we feel really deeply at the same time. And so, as any artist, never let nobody box you into one way or the other. But
that's one thing, like, with what we do with Kinsman Quarterly, the magazine, and Kinsman Avenue Publishing Incorporated. Honestly, when I was, just submitting to different journals and stuff as a writer, number one, they weren't interested in a Black voice, period, at that time, period. They weren't interested. We don't want to hear this story. If it looks anything like, it's the same thing with Kendrick. We don't want to hear what you got to say, But with Kinsman Avenue Publishing, one thing that we are hoping people get is, instead of just one side of the story, if you have white leaders and white publishers say, hey, this is what we understand of you. So this is the stories we want to hear. We don't really see you in a love story. We don't really see you looking at the trees, fighting for the trees or anything like that. You know what I mean? If they don't see it, then they are not wanting to amplify those voices who are showing our humanity. If we only hear our struggle, if it's only about our struggle, then our own narrative is limited. And then I was an ELA teacher, English Language Arts. All they had for our children was civil rights stuff. That's all I was able to present before them. Nothing about love, nothing about relationships, nothing about coming of age, none of that. And we need a more wholesome diet for art. We need a more wholesome diet for art so that we can tap into our own humanity.
And this might be me being a little cynical, but why not? I think it's easier to see us in our struggle so they don't have to see us as
in our humanity. Yeah.
So they don't have to, oh my gosh, her heart can break. His heart can break. They can fall in love. I fell in love. I cry when I get sad. And now I have to see them not as these strong, Rosa Parks, Harriet Tubman, Martin Luther the King, I said the king, I knew,
the king.
I make them characters and not humans. So they don't push our stories that we fall in love, that we get our heart broken, that we have feelings. And if they don't push that narrative, then they don't have to see us as fully human. They could just see us as people who need their hand, like
yep.
People who they just need our hope. We can help them in their struggle instead of seeing them and relating to us as humans. Because once you have to relate to a person really as a human, then you can't be okay with injustice. You can't be okay with things not being equal and rights being taken away, because now you're like me. Now you need to feed your kids too. You just want a good life for yourself too. And so they don't push those narratives. That's back to Kendrick. That's why it's good that he went and took his stance like he took it, because I'm not going to let you see me like you want to see me. I'm going to write this whole narrative myself. And that's the thing with Black art in every sense. Like, they want us to be good times all the time. Like, they want to Florida Evans. That was all. I forgot, baby. You young. Good Times was a show back in the 70s where Black people lived in the ghetto. There was a family. They lived. Let me just explain it to you. I forgot, baby. You young.
But Wayne had something to say. I want to hear from this young man.
Yeah, go ahead, Wayne. What would you have to say?
Y'all done threw me off now with the good times thing because that's crazy.
I'm just talking like he our age. Go ahead.
No, I grew up. I didn't grow up watching Good Times, but I definitely know the show. No. I wanted to actually reserve some time so that we could actually uplift some artists that we know that are actually doing this work. You know what I mean? Any KQ artists that are currently doing this work. So I definitely, if you guys want to share some of those.
Yeah, well, like just highlighting some of our we're a new organization, but I am just floored by a lot of the authors that we already have on the scene. Nicole Doyley, who is our advocacy director, and she just released her book about raising kids and multiracial families. So she does the footwork in terms of inspirational speaking and whatnot, and holding workshops and whatnot, where she shares about the challenges of being a biracial woman herself, and living on those two worlds and how parents can navigate that. So she's one. Mildred Mills, who's our assistant editor, she just published a book with another publishing company, but she still serves us because she believes in what we're doing here, and how her memoir is about what it means to be a Black woman, the family dynamics, the relationship dynamics that are involved, and also the corporate dynamics that are involved. And then she um, inspires others around the country. We have authors like Y. Kendall. She had one of my favorite stories called The Keto Story, where though it's a fiction short story, it is a commentary on what's going on, the neglect and lack of accountability in the urban community. And I mean, she hits it like only a sister can hit it. Nobody else can say, we got to get this together. And she's a caregiver herself, but talking about the care that's needed for our children in the Black community. So she's a phenomenal author that we get to hear more from in Black Butterfly that's coming out. And one more I just want to share, Russell Nichols, and this is why organizations like ours need to exist. Russell Nichols, he's a playwright, and he submitted to our holiday playwright contest. And that's a contest for BIPOC community. And he's one of the very few Black playwrights that came in. And honestly, reading his material, I say, if somebody was white or Chinese, or they wouldn't get the important stuff he's saying in these two plays he submitted. And reading his stuff, it was like, dude, he was talking about the game before I saw it before Kendrick even played it out on the Super Bowl stage. Russell Nichols, a playwright, mapped out a game on stage where you can see where the players, and it was all talking about Black men, the game that they are actually in, which is not like the game that others are in. So it's wonderful to work with the type of authors and poets that we work with who are already engaged in social justice. Yeah, man. So it's exciting to see what the type of novice, and these are not so much novice, I can't say novice, but not celebrated like a celebrity would be, you know what I mean? And it's important that we get these type of voices on the shelf, because the big five publishers, they are publishing celebrities like Kevin and Hart, which we know those celebrities aren't necessarily writers, and we want to get some authentic writers in on the game to explain what's happening in our communities.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, oh,
I was wondering, I was wondering
Waiting for me to throw in somebody.
I was like,
Yeah.
if you got something
look.
to add
So
to
I'm gonna throw in. So this is Iridescence. This is all speculative fiction. This is our latest collection of Black, Indigenous, and people of color. And everything, all the stories here are supernatural, they are paranormal, they are science fiction, but they are selected for the truth, even though it's fiction, is selected for the truth of the culture that's in it, the truth of what's authentic to the communities. So this is our latest one, and Yeah, this is a dope. This
Yes,
is a dope
yes.
read right
We'll
there.
have all the links down in the description of the
Yes.
video.
I don't have anything really to add to that because she
That's
pretty much
She went
said
down
all
the,
of
she
that.
went down
As
the
far
list.
as music artists right now, I can't think of any, and that's the sad part. Besides like a Kendrick Lamar, some independent artists, they don't get the push. It's really hard to find them. They really don't get the push that they should. One's actually talking about something that could actually be beneficial. Um, so I don't have any right off the rip, right off the top of my head, which to me is kind of sad. Do you know any, Wayne?
Me, no, I was thinking, I don't know if you had the chance to listen to someone who Kendrick Lamar endorses, Doechii is really good. I don't know if you, but if you have,
I checked her out. She
okay, okay,
I'm from the Lauryn Hill days,
okay.
so
I love listen. Lauryn Hill it will
you know
always
what I
be
mean.
on
They're a
repeat.
little bit different, little bit, in their styles, but
Yeah, no, I
uh,
got you. I got
you know what I'm saying. You feel me with that?
you. Yeah.
Um, she's good though. She's good. I would love to see just artists in general, but especially female artists. Like there's a day, you had your Lauryn Hills, you had your Queen Latifahs, you had your MC Lights, they kind of scaled it back a little and said something, And so, so I would like to see that some advocacy in some of our female artists. I would love to see that. I think about what's her name, Billie Holiday, where she talked about strange fruit. She was,
yeah.
she had to say, hey, in the South they hanging us, and yeah, I can sing, and I'm a wonderful jazz artist, beautiful woman,
Mhm.
but they
I think,
hanging us in the South. So I'd like to see more advocacy with the females as well,
yeah. I
artists.
think what's happening in the industry is the industry is telling our artists who they are and who they should be,
Yeah.
instead of artists understanding who they are and who they should be. And I think it's important that there's platforms like this or others for people to explain, hey, your artistry is for a purpose. You
Mhm.
are to use that gift that you have to beautify the world, to restore humanity in some way. But instead, the industry is saying, this is how we want to see you. And to me, it's a colonizing, it's
You
a
know.
colonizing thing. The music industry, they are exploiting Black voices.
Mhm.
And the Black voices don't know any, they're trying to get out of
They just don't want to be broke no more.
impoverished circumstances, so they can't see
Mhm.
the forest for the trees.
Yeah.
And so it's so refreshing when we got somebody like Kendrick Lamar
Kendrick
who comes
Lamar.
in and
Yeah.
say, look, we
Mhm.
going backwards, wrong way. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's refreshing when we got someone to say, hey, we going backwards. And I would love to see rappers like MC Light and Queen Latifah and Lauryn Hill who were saying something. They understood who they were and their gift were.
They understood that they were
Doesn't
stronger
matter how
than their
fine you are.
sexuality.
And,
They were
yep.
stronger
Doesn't
than their
matter how
sexuality.
fine
Like,
you
I got
are.
something to say. Like, and before you call me a biscuit, first of all, I ain't gonna call myself one. That's number one. Like, who you calling a biscuit? you know, biscuit, because I'm not gonna cuss. But so like I would what artists don't understand is your authenticity is what makes you a superstar.
That's right. That's right.
If
That's what.
you want to become a superstar, it will be your authenticity, not who they tell you to be, not how they want you to slide up and down a pole or be on the stage or what. You can sing about fun stuff because they're young, they're beautiful, they want it, but it is your authenticity that will make you the superstar. If you look at superstars, Michael Jackson, Michael Jackson, Prince, Stevie Wonder, Whitney Houston, Luther Vandross, they were superstars because they sat in their authenticity. And if you it's hard, it's easy to say on the outside of the industry,
Mhm.
don't let them turn you into a caricature. Don't let them manufacture who you are because they're getting paid well to
Yeah.
be manufactured. But I would like the artist to know that should you ever find the courage to be who you are, that's when you'll become a superstar. Your authenticity will make you that. You being exactly who you are, singing what you want to sing, looking like you want to look. That's like the crux of what my segment music. I want artists to come and be who they are and polish up who they are and not turn them into something that they're not, something that is sellable, kind of like, literally manufacturing artists. If you would ever find the courage to be authentically you, that's when you will start changing. That's when you will Michael Jackson sell. That's why Kendrick is so popular. That's why he was at the Super Bowl, because he was authentically him. And he didn't put on the whole popping bottles, whatever that the same rappers had to do. He was the one at the Super Bowl, not bottle poppers.
Yep. But
You know what I mean?
I'm gonna say something about that.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna say something about that too. Is, if you are going to be on the front lines of the battle, and that's what you are going to be, somebody like Kendrick, he's somebody that we need to surround with good thoughts and prayers all the time, because if you dare to be on the front lines of the battle, and he said it, he kind of alluded to it in his performance, to Duck One Life, they don't want to see you there.
Yeah.
They don't want you making the changes and changing the system. They want the status quo to remain the status quo. And as soon as you do decide to be on the front lines of the battle, you become a target in one way or another. You become a target. And you have to be careful how you operate.
Y'all are great at reading minds. I'll tell you what, because
why?
I was gonna
on your mind.
Let's make sure we do that.
This is great, because I was gonna say let's, what's some advice we could give people that are really seeking to advocate for people in their work, and y'all just came right out with it. So I think that's awesome. Everything, my only advice would have been the authenticity. I think authenticity is honestly the only way to go, to be completely honest. If you want to stay true to yourself and who you are, I think the success will follow. But if it doesn't, you still yourself. You don't lose who you are. You know what I mean?
You can look at yourself in the mirror. Like,
exactly.
I've been making music for a long time. Ain't nobody breaking down my doors to do no stadiums yet. But I can say this. I've done what was in my heart. I'm true to myself, and I can respect myself, because I know I didn't compromise me to sell me. I didn't sell myself. I didn't sell my art by compromising who I am. And so, though it's not lucrative yet, I feel like I'm an artist. I sit in that that title. I'm an artist, where I'm me, like it or love it. You might not dig my music, but it's me. I said what I wanted to say, and I said it like I wanted to say it. And that, to me, is almost as valuable, because a lot of people I know, they would say more, they would do different, but they can't because of the golden handcuffs. Yeah, they got the golden. I got to make this money. I don't want to lose this endorsement. I don't want to. But then they don't get to be fully who they are and express themselves fully as the artist that God made them to be. And so they kind of sell off pieces of themselves. And I would say to any artist, I hope that the success follows, but I know the self-respect will. You will respect yourself for staying true to yourself. Absolutely. How many times have you ever been in a situation where you looked at yourself in the mirror and you said, I was faking. I wasn't that happy to see them. That joke wasn't that funny. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's why what Kendrick did was so powerful. He let us all know, you don't have to play the game. You don't have to play it right. Play what's in your heart. Play it like it should be played.
And let's be honest. Who are your favorite artists? Who are the ones who inspire you to want to write poetry?
Straight up game changers.
Yeah. Who are the ones that you really respect, and not the ones you party to and you do the Cupid shuffle to? The ones who, when you heard their music, it changed their life. The ones that said, I can do what they're doing, or I want to say something now. I want to do something now because you heard them. Those artists were the non-compromising artists. Those artists were the ones that say, I'm going to say it whether you like it or not. I'm going to say it and it's going to ouch a little bit. I'm going to say it and, let the chips fall. Those are the artists. If you think about it, like people that the Beatles are so great and they Rolling Stone, because they did it their way. I'm not to talk about, not, I'm saying even white folks, they are not inspired by, well, I ain't gonna start naming names because it seems like I don't like the person, but okay, we'll just go with like an Adele. She inspires. She inspires because you can hear her authenticity in her music. And she inspires more than maybe Britney Spears. She may not sell much. I think she did sell more than Britney Spears, but you know what I mean? One, I don't know, huh? Let me just be careful. But Adele, like she dope with it. And she's that kind of artist that inspires, moves you to your artistry, to what's good in you. So anyway, not to pit one against the other, but I'm just saying that most people's favorite artists are the ones who didn't compromise. The ones who were true to Michael Jackson. Wasn't nobody singing like him, wasn't nobody moving like him. He had his own thing and he changed the world. Prince, same thing. Wasn't nobody moving like him, wasn't nobody writing like him. He changed the world. James Brown, Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, Kendrick Lamar. What's another rapper that you like or artist that inspired
Another
you?
rapper that I like. Oh man, it's funny. I kind of stopped listening to rap that much just because it
It
started.
ain't been that inspiring here lately.
Yeah, it ain't really been.
But just an artist then,
Yeah.
music.
Oh, I was gonna say. Well, I wanted to bring up my girl Nikki Giovanni here real quick.
Oh yes,
Shameless
Nikki.
plug. Shameless plug.
Yes, no, but see, like her authenticity. Did she make you want to write?
Oh, she's one of probably my biggest influence as a writer.
Really?
To this
Yeah.
day. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And she wrote about everything. You know what I'm saying? Like from home life to hip hop to being black in America to everything. But she wrote about the whole gambit of it. And so as somebody to look up to, I was able to be like, you know what? I can write about whatever I want and still be advocating for stuff.
That part is those kind of artists that actually move us creatively, and I think they move the world, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Well, y'all, I think this was a great discussion. Yeah, we'll have all the links to everything in the description. Like I said, check out the iridescence. Show it one more time for
Oh,
us.
And
Yeah.
don't forget the presents
that
too.
magic and color, man.
Pull up. There you go.
I never seen
Uh,
it.
Presents and slam and all the other good stuff.
Oh yeah, okay. Well,
Got all
look,
the good stuff
I
over
can
there.
go on. Look,
yeah,
I can
yeah.
go on and on and
Yeah,
on.
let's go to the break of dawn. Let's go.
Haunted stories of cultural folklore right here. This is the bomb. This is my favorite actually. And I am not a scary story person, but these are dope. Let's see the collection here. We have our first anthology Black Diaspora, which is dope than a mug. And then we got the one that Yolanda's in. Oh, me and Yolanda's in this one. Hold on.
And you can find the plan in there.
Dun, 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 dun. We got, so Yolanda's poetry is in here. It's actually your hip hop lyrics are in here, and then I have some poetry here as well. I do more poetry these days just because I got less time, but I still got a lot to say.
I
Wayne,
like to hear
man,
some of your stuff, Wayne. Do you ever do anything live?
Do I do well? I'm actually about to start trying to do some live stuff. Just some stuff that I'm creating with my microphone and stuff at home. I want to do some live just like personal performances, like late night with the you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you dim the lights.
Yeah, dim the lights and just be reading some poetry, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to do some stuff like that.
Great. That would be great.
We'll put you on blast. You do it too. You know that.
Oh yeah, I know.
With Monique,
In
she
the
can't
works.
ever do nothing secretly. She like, put it on stage. We need to see what you can
Look,
do. We need the world to know you
Talk about advocacy. Monique is the
for
advocate.
real.
I am. I'm straight
Yeah.
up, man. I honestly, what do you call you? What's about you preach? What do you say? How's the saying go? Practice what I preach.
Practice what you preach. Yeah.
I say, hey, if you have a light, it shouldn't be under nobody's bushel. And I'm gifted at making sure those lights are on stands.
That's it. We're gonna cap it right there. If you got a light, don't hide it under the bushel. This has been KQ on the Avenue. Thank y'all for tuning in. Outro music.
All right.